Hey, and welcome to 96Indie, where the goal is to provide DIY tips for music makers and content creators. I am your host, Joe R., and today we're here to do a review of the RAB Audio ProRak LS840. So this is a desk that I purchased about a year ago, and I've been using it, since that time. I used it at my old location, and now I've recently moved to a new location. So I've done 2 builds of this desk, and I've used it in 2 different rooms, and it's been serving me well to give you guys a little preview of what's to come. So in terms of when you receive the desk, I remember it being packaged nicely, no complaints about how it was packaged, and I think another important thing is, how easy is it to build the desk? What if you're not very much into building this or that, and you're just kind of like focused on the audio aspects or whatever production aspects you're focused on as a creator. Well, I'm happy to report that it's nice and easy to build the desk. I am one of those people, who I'm not really building a whole bunch of stuff and kind of constructing my own, whatever it may be around the studio. I want to buy something that works well and is easy to build. So in that case, this desk is definitely that. You pretty much need a screwdriver, the same size that you need to screw in rack gear into a rack, and an Allen key, and that's about it. So as long as you have the right size for both of those things, then those are the only 2 tools you need. And you can pretty much get the desk built with 2 people, nice and easy. Honestly, on the most recent build, I built it pretty much all by myself. And then on the back end, I just had my wife help me move it, essentially, and that's about it. So nice and easy, no complaints in that department. If I can do it, you can do it type of thing, basically. And to clarify, I definitely used the manual while building it. I don't know if you're the type of person that likes to pull stuff out of the box and just kind of like build it and go for it. I'm not that type of person, and I don't recommend it personally. I want to make sure I'm using all the right screws for all the right parts, and I'm just building it step by step the way it's meant to be built. So wanted to definitely throw that out there. Great, so let's take a look at the desk itself. Here we are in all this glory. Not much clutter to be found, definitely on first inspection in terms of like cable management, which is definitely a high point of this desk. So taking a look at what all I actually have on the desk, we'll start at the top. So we have the monitors. That's the monitor upgrade, those little platters there. So they are pretty much adjustable. You can adjust the angle of them as need be, as long as you screw them down, nicely and not too tight, giving them room to be mobile. And then other than that, I have my secondary display up there on the top and my Audi ID44 interface. So moving on to the middle, I have my MPC Live there on the left, MPC Live 2, my laptop, which I'm using to record this audio at the moment. And of course, I have pretty much my mic arm attached to the desk over here. So other than that, if we move down over here, we're moving to the keyboard shelf. So we'll get that all the way out here. And this is what we're working with. So pretty much I have a field recorder there. So anytime I'm doing like tutorials or anything like that, I take a feed out of my Audi ID44 and I throw it into that recorder right there, just to make sure that I always have a solid audio recording, uninterrupted, whether it be from Pro Tools or whatever the case may be. And then I have an MPD here as well. So pretty much this I would use to practice finger drumming, things of that nature, while the MPC Live is pretty much for actual production work. And then I have a little mouse there as well. And that's pretty much all that I have on the desk. So the other thing that didn't come with the desk that I added to the desk is this right here, to close up the rack space. So I don't have any rack gear here at the moment. But at some point I'll look to add some rack gear, get that going. But in any event, if you don't have rack gear at the moment and you get the desk, I highly recommend to get a 4U pretty much cover for the rack bay, the rack space there. That way you don't have just a big hole in the desk that you can see through and you can see the cable management going on back there. So yeah, I got one on this side and I got one on the other side to cover everything up. You can't really see it that good because the laptop's a little bit in the way. But in any event, you know, this helps make it look nice and clean if you don't have the rack gear just yet. So I definitely want to make sure I talk about color options for the desk. So I chose the black with the ivory trim. There's an all black version of the desk and there's a white version of the desk, but I chose to go this route. So black with a little bit of ivory around the frame. I did that, you know, just because I wanted to have, you know, some cool flavor to it, some little bit of kind of like nuance to it. But you could go, you know, classic all black if you so choose, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to go for the white, I feel like you're a daredevil because, yeah, I mean, you got to be super careful with the desk. I mean, I'm careful with the desk, of course, but even so, having a white desk, I wouldn't know how I would feel about that. But some people, you know, like that aesthetic and that's what they want to go for. And by all means, you know, if that's your thing, then do your thing. But this is what I landed with and I like it. In terms of stability, I don't really have any issues with stability whatsoever. I feel like it's nice and firm, the desk itself. It has some strength to it, especially with everything I got going on it. Personally, you know, I don't have a lot of super heavy stuff. At the same time, I do have some stuff that has some weight to it. So it could be a concern if like you do have more stuff on the desk. What if you have the racks filled up with very heavy gear? Then you might have to think about stability a little bit more. There's also a keyboard option, like a MIDI controller option. So if you went for that option, then you would have a bigger tray here. You could put a keyboard there, a MIDI keyboard, and or just kind of like a, you know, a keyboard with its own sounds. But beyond that, you know, just the way the feet are attached could be a cause for concern. So basically, when you attach the feet over here, it's only 2 screws holding that in. So I'm trying to make sure you guys can see that there. So 2 screws holding it there in the middle. So that's all that's holding the feet up. So if you do have like super heavy stuff all over the desk, then, you know, you may have a different story and a different experience. I am perfectly fine with everything that I have going on the desk personally. So the cable management system, here we are, and here's what it looks like on the back side of the desk. So pretty much as I was running cables, you know, I try to be mindful of coiling them properly and just making it as clean as possible down here while leaving slack where need be for, let's say, the keyboard tray that needs to go in and out, of course, right? But yeah, I think it looks pretty clean back here. Obviously, nobody's going to see this back here, so I guess you could go wild back here if you wanted to, but definitely convenient to have this tray back here so that the cables don't all fall to the floor. You don't have to do anything, you know, too hectic with them to clean them up along maybe the frame of the desk, things of that nature. So this is here, so you don't have to think too much about it. You just put your cables in there neatly and you're good to go. And there we have it. That's my review of the RAB Audio ProRak LS840 Studio Workstation with the monitor upgrade. I've been enjoying having it for the past year. It's very useful. I have plenty of legroom when I want to sit in front of the desk. I have plenty of space to store what I want to store on top of the desk. And yeah, it's just a great workstation, great day-to-day to use in your home studio. And, you know, coming from initially having, you know, just computer desks that I was repurposing for studio use. I'm sure a lot of us have been through that or still, you know, using a computer desk at the moment. Just having a purpose-built desk is truly a game changer. And yeah, it's kind of like one of those things that you may overlook if you're like obsessed with mics and monitors and all that type of stuff. You know, you might overlook that for a while, but definitely don't sleep on having a nice studio desk in your studio that's going to serve you well, give you plenty of leg room, give you plenty of space to put your gear. And of course, it has that space for rack gear, which I, you know, do want to add rack gear to it eventually. But right now, as is, it's serving me well. Can't complain. And as always, this is the way I do things. This is not the only way to do things. And I hope it helps you improve your workflow. Catch you next time on NINESIXINDIE. Once again, I'm Joe R.